Bonjour et bienvenue sur notre vidéo de Greener Side Language Academy. Hello and welcome to another video from Greener Side Language Academy. Today we're going to be looking at l'impératif en français. L'impératif en français, the imperative in French. Alors, pour commencer, qu'est-ce que c'est que l'impératif? What's the imperative? L'impératif? Well, the imperative is a mood used in French to give commands, and this can be manifested in the form of a recommendation, an order, or a request. This mood also exists in the English language, so we would use the imperative in English to give commands, which could come in the form of a recommendation, or which could be used to give a recommendation, to give an order, or to make a request. So it's also in the English language, so all we need to know now is how we would express those same ideas, that same language function in French. So here are some examples of what we'd see in the English language. We'd see go outside, take some medication, let's dance. These are all examples of the imperative in the English language. Alors, nous allons voir les formes de l'impératif. Usually, commands are used to address persons directly, hence the use of tu and vous. However, tu is used to address one person with whom we have an informal relationship, as we would have learned before. On the other hand, vous has two uses. It can be used to address several persons at a time, or in this case, to give a command to several persons. Or it can be used to give a command to one person with whom you have a formal relationship. Then we have nous. Que signifie nous? Nous means we in English. So if we have a nous command, automatically it means that it's a sort of command that is used to refer to a group of persons that would include ourselves. All right, so just keep that in mind as we go along through the video. So firstly, we're gonna take a look at tu commands. Now with tu commands, there is a slight distinction between how the commands are formed, or a slight difference between how the commands are formed with IR and RE verbs as opposed to ER verbs. Let's take a look at how commands are formed with IR and RE verbs in French. So first, what you're going to do is to take the tu form of the verb in the present tense. So we would have learned the present tense before of several verbs, both regular and irregular. So all you have to do is to take the tu form of that verb. What's the next step? It's as simple as 1, 2, 3, un, deux, trois. All you're doing is dropping the pronoun tu. So let's look at an example of what we would do then. So we have the verb vendre and sortir. Vendre, which means to sell, and sortir, which means to leave or to get out or go out. So firstly, we're taking the tu form of the verb, or of the verbs. We have tu vends for vendre, and we have tu sors for sortir. Notice all that we're doing in the second step is to drop the pronoun tu. We're dropping the tu. So we're left with vend, sell, or sors, leave, get out. It's as simple as ABC. Very easy, très facile. Now what about with ER verbs? Well, we just have to add one extra step. So for ER verbs with tu commands, you're going to take the tu form again of the verb in the present tense, drop the pronoun tu, but then this extra step that we have to adhere to is we have to drop the S at the end of the verb form. So let's take a look. If we have the verbs manger and danser, we're going to put them in the tu form. First of all, that's the first step. Tu manges, tu danses. Then we're going to remove the pronoun mange. danse. Notice there's an S at the end of each of these forms. That's what we have to deal with the third step now. We're going to remove the S off the end of both forms. So we're going to end up with mange, eat, and danse, dance. So all we're doing, that extra step, all we're doing in that extra step is to remove the S that would be at the end of the two form. It's very easy. C'est très facile. Now let's take a look at some examples of how we would use these verbs in a sentence or in an actual command. So here we have vends ta voiture, sell your car, sors de la maison, get out of the house, mange le gâteau, eat the cake. So it's really useful, this tense, right? As we're seeing, we can use it for orders, recommendations, right? Or even requests. So l'impératif is very useful in French. Let's now proceed. Let's move on to vous commands. So there's no distinction with vous commands. We don't have to worry about what the verb ends with. All we need to know is this one step. So for all types of verbs, ER, IR, and RE verbs, we're going to take the vous form of the verb in the present tense. Then we're going to do as we did with tu commands. We're going to drop the pronoun vous. So using all forms of verbs, ER, IR, and RE verbs, let's see how this works. So if we put it, first of all, we put it in the vous form, we get vous mangez, vous sortez, vous vendez. You eat or you all eat. You leave or you all leave. You sell or you all sell. What's the second step? Drop that vous, drop the pronoun. So we end up with manger, eat, sortez, leave, vendez, sell. Alright, c'est très facile. Regardons des exemples. Let's look at some examples. Vendez votre maison. Sell your house. Right, that could be a recommendation. It could also be an order. It could be a request, right? Remember, those are the functions of l'impératif. Sortez de cette réunion. Leave this meeting. Mangez des légumes. Eat some vegetables, right? So just, some examples of l'impératif in French that are quite useful. And remember, vous commands are used to refer to one person with whom we have a formal relationship or to several persons. Okay, so keep that in mind. Then lastly, we have our nous commands. As with the vous commands, there is no distinction based on the ending of the verb. So for ER verbs and IR verbs as well as RE verbs, it's the same rule. And it's very similar to the last two forms. You're just going to take the nous form of the verb in the present tense, then you drop the pronoun nous. It's as simple as that. C'est très simple. So we have manger, sortir, and vendre again. So we're going to take the nous form. Nous mangeons, nous sortons, nous vendons, right? And what do we do in the last step? We drop the pronoun nous. So we get mangeons, let's eat. Sortons, let's go out or let's leave. Vendons, let's sell. All right, so this of course is the nous form, meaning that it's gonna be translated as let's, and then of course the action of the verb, because whenever in English we are giving a command that would include ourselves as a part of, the person to whom we're directing the command, we're going to, use let's. It's going to involve us doing that action as well. But in French, it's quite easy. We're just getting the nous form and dropping the nous. Simple as that. Alright, so let's see some examples. Vendons des croissants. Let's sell some croissants. Sortons de la maison. Let's get out of the house. Mangeons une pizza. Let's eat a pizza. So notice that the new commands can be translated as let's and then of course the action in English. So it's really quite simple. Notez bien. So note well. There are some irregular verbs or irregular forms in this particular mood in l'impératif. We have être, avoir, savoir, and vouloir being the main examples of these irregular forms. We're gonna leave those forms for another time, for another video, right? But just be assured that the majority of verbs in French will follow the rules that we went through earlier. Pratiquez l'impératif. Pratiquez l'impératif. So we're jumping right in with those commands. Here's a vous command aimed at, of course, the viewers of this video. Practice imperative. So I want you to basically put into action what you have just learned. Here's another command in French. Traduisez les phrases suivantes. Translate the following sentences. You'll see that for the sentences where there is no clear form given as to which form you should use for the command, I have placed it in brackets at the end. So, of course, you can do that on your own time. Feel free to comment what you got down below in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you all. Merci beaucoup d'avoir regardé cette vidéo de Greener Side Language Academy. Likez, partagez et abonnez-vous s'il vous plaît. Au revoir et à la prochaine.